G'day there guys, I just found out that my wife is my cousin and I can't accept reality. What am I going to do about this situation? It's Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if that was crazy, just wait till you hear some of these stories. Sit back, relax and enjoy, I think you'll love it. Posted by user ThrowRA78WDHSG. Titled, My Vegan Girlfriend Wants Me to Get Rid of My Cat. I can't believe I'm about to type this, but here we go. I've been dating my girlfriend for 7 months. She's amazing and we are super compatible in a lot of ways. She is an outspoken vegan, and she made it clear at the start of our relationship that it was important to her that any potential partner had similar cruelty-free values. Me, already being a pescatarian, had little difficulty transitioning to a fully plant-based diet. My girlfriend was proud of me for going cruelty-free, and everything seemed well. We became the vegan couple on our college campus. Then there is my cat, Mittens. I've had her for 3 years and I adore her. She's such a sweet and cuddly cat. However, my girlfriend was always a little apprehensive around her, and she blamed it on not growing up around cats. After a while, we sort of made a tacit agreement to mostly hang out at her apartment instead of mine, so Mittens never really came up again in conversation. Fast forward through all the quarantine stuff. My girlfriend and I have spent a lot of time together during this pandemic, and we've started talking about taking our relationship to the next level. We began seriously looking at either buying a new apartment together or having one of us move in with the other. However, after a lot of talking and planning, my girlfriend sat me down and dropped a bombshell on me. She said that with the next phase of the relationship, she did not see a future with me unless I was willing to give away Mittens. She said that she believed owning a cat is unconscionable for vegans because they hunt mice and eat meat, and because the very act of owning a pet is a violation of vegan principles. I was stunned. I told her that I was absolutely not willing to give up Mittens, and she had no choice but to eat meat, so I was reducing harm as much as possible by buying reputable brands of cat food. Plenty of vegans own cats and think along those same lines. My girlfriend got mad and said, "How much flesh does your cat eat? How many animals died to make all that food? Would you be okay with that being human flesh?" I got mad and told my girlfriend that I would have really appreciated her telling me about her cat opinions before we got serious. She went on and on about cats killing animals. I ended the conversation there. I was so angry that I left my girlfriend's apartment and I snuggled with Mittens when I got home. Although the mood soured a bit when my girlfriend sent me a link to a Reddit thread advocating for the extinction of domestic cats. I think it goes without saying that I am not going to get rid of my cats. However, it pains me to think that an otherwise wonderful relationship could be ending because of a difference in ideology. I don't even really understand where my girlfriend is coming from because, like I said, a lot of vegans own cats. Now granted, cat ownership can be a controversial topic in vegan circles, and I probably would not have gotten a cat if I had been vegan at the time. But I have Mittens now, and she deserves to eat. Yes, I've researched vegan cat food, but Mittens has some digestive issues, and my vet strongly cautions against it. I've talked to some of my vegan and vegetarian friends, and they all think my girlfriend has lost her mind. Some have suggested that it's not about Mittens, and my girlfriend just wants an excuse to end it. They probably don't understand why I haven't broken up yet, but I care about my girlfriend so much. I'd hate for this bizarre curveball to be the end of a beautiful thing. I want to try and work something out. Where do I even go from here? I will not compromise on Mittens, and I don't think my girlfriend will compromise either. She suggested to give it away? It makes no sense whatsoever. Will it consume less meat with another owner? Of course not. It's like boasting about your lack of garbage because you dump it all in your neighbor's yard. This is what I was thinking. It's not about veganism, it's about control. Absolutely. What this reminds me of is parents so committed to their religion, they will disown their children for not conforming, even though they claim to love them. Unfortunately, some vegans can find their ideology so compelling, they too would choose it before anything else. And in this case, she seems to have never even considered the fact she's demanding OP give up a cat that he loves. And whilst we're on the subject, OP, cats are obligate carnivores and should never be fed a vegan diet, regardless of health status. Here in the UK, doing so would earn you a fine of up to £1,000. It's considered animal cruelty. You can also get prison time for animal abuse in the UK, including feeding cats inadequately. As a fellow vegan, no, this isn't even cool. If she truly cared about animals, she wouldn't ask you to rehome your cat. It has a loving home. Her way of thinking is arse backwards. If someone told me I'm not a real vegan because I have a dog, I would laugh my ass off and tell them they can have their stupid label. The dog stays, he's family. Just like I'm sure your cat is your family. Yup, I came here to say this. I'm vegan and I see no issue in giving animals loving homes, regardless of the animal's diet. Especially if your pet would be homeless otherwise. Don't give your cat away. They are family. I wonder if this isn't really about veganism, but more of her finding ways in an intimate relationship to express control over her partner. The fact that she doesn't possess the skills to be flexible, compromising, or negotiate with a partner is a big red flag to me. As a cat lover, I'm very glad you stuck by Mittens. I agree with this point. There must be more at play than this ridiculous cat argument. Something in the relationship isn't right, and she's expressing it in a ridiculous way, subconsciously or otherwise. Update. First of all, let me say thank you to everyone who offered advice. There are over 7,000 comments on my original post, and I have dozens of PMs. Frankly, I'm still pretty overwhelmed with the magnitude of the response. I did my best to read most everyone's comments, but obviously I couldn't get to everything. I would also like to preempt this post by saying, as many users pointed out, that my girlfriend's extreme views on domestic cats are not representative of the vegan and vegetarian community as a whole. I do think that sometimes new vegans can be a little overzealous. In reality, most of us are just doing the best that we can to not hurt animals. I did not expect to generate a big debate in the comments. So, we broke up, obviously. I would never ever give up my cat, Mittens. Many users say that this situation was about control, not veganism. And looking back, I do see a pattern of control on my girlfriend's part. I was blind to it, I guess. I called my girlfriend and said I was not willing to give up Mittens, under any circumstances. And given the recent issues we'd had, and our incompatible views, I thought it was best that we parted ways. I said she deserved a partner that shared her values. She then asked if we were breaking up, and I said yes. There was some anger on her end, but otherwise this situation actually went better than I expected. So yeah, that's really it. Thanks again to everyone who offered advice, it really helped. Kit Kat Has Claws says, "Good for you. The cat is being a cat. The cat cannot choose and must eat meat to survive. If you treat the cat well, there is nothing wrong with being vegan and owning a cat. What's her suggestion? We kill off cats? That's not vegan." She literally sent him an article the same night advocating for the extinction of the house cat species. So now we're left with the classic question of the free-range chicken or the organic GMO-free egg. Is she vegan because she's crazy, or is she crazy because of the veganism? Obviously not all vegans, but this lady is certainly off the deep end. She's mad that cats eat meat? That's gotta be the funniest thing I've heard all day. Sorry you were in the situation though. I was once in a zoo, and there was this woman in her 40s who wouldn't take her kids to see the lions because they are fed meat, and that is animal abuse. That's depressing. Not as depressing as vegans who think they can feed their obligate carnivore cats vegetable-based food. Posted by user ThrowRA-DumbQ12902. Titled, "I accidentally found out my 28 male fiancé, 27 female, has been creating exotic art and fan fiction for years. I'm not judging, but when I mentioned it to her, she became furious. I have never seen her so upset. I am really confused. Me and my fiancée have been together for 6 years now. I love her dearly. My fiancée has always been huge into drawing in her free time. Frankly, she's really good at what she does. She has shown me a bunch of stuff in the past, and if I recall, she always posted it to her DeviantArt. Most of it is of video game characters. Some of her artwork is suggestive. Yesterday, I was talking to a coworker about video games, and I remembered my fiancée did some art for one of the games that we were talking about. So I decided to try to go and find it. Being lazy, I decided to punch in her username into Google, hoping to find her DeviantArt. Except, I had a lot more stuff come up. Google showed a bunch of pictures. I guess you could call them the NSFW version of art that she has done. I ended up clicking on them and being sent to my fiancé's Hentai Foundry profile. I just kinda shrugged and didn't care. However, in the Google search results, I also noticed a link to an archive of our own story with her username. This got me kind of curious, so I decided to take a peek, expecting it to be just old fanfiction stuff that she wrote ages ago. There was a lot of stuff, including recent stuff in her profile. Most of it was, I guess, what you would call erotic fanfiction. At this point, I found it funny, and when she got home on Friday night, I offhandedly mentioned what happened and how I found it humorous. She got very, very upset at me, and started acting like I caught her cheating or something. I told her several times I'm not kink-shaming, etc. She told me I violated her privacy and broke our trust. She said that stuff had nothing to do with me, and I had no business snooping. I tried my best to calm her down, but she was visibly upset last night. All of today, she's been very upset, to the point where she said she needed to spend some time at her sister's. I have apologized and told her it was an accident, and I have told her several times that I am not being judgmental about what she draws. However, she is still very upset. At this point, I am at a loss for what to do. I suppose I can weigh in on this, since I have been a hobbyist artist in similar communities. My work is rather more vanilla than what you describe from your fiancé, but I drew a lot of slash art, which can be seen as similarly weird by people completely divorced from fandom culture. The thing about these communities, especially NSFW communities, is that they are generally very insular and full of like-minded people. I'm talking in broad strokes, but the majority of online artists do not treat their social media in the same way. Especially a website like DeviantArt, which is very specifically for artists and fans. Most of the people your fiancé interacts with on these sites and shares her interests with are likely online friends who she met through the content she and they create. Despite being technically public, interacting with others under a handle and having that stable foundation of shared interests with your audience is a very comfortable feeling. She will not be accustomed to judgment, as 90% of the people who discover her content organically will be due to a genuine interest that led them there. I liked the anonymity and thrived from these accounts being largely separate from IRL social media like Facebook, etc. But I gave out my usernames to friends that I trusted and held common interests with, and who knew I liked to draw, much like your fiancé clearly did with you. But it was wildly uncomfortable when other people started to find it through them, and I no longer had control over who, in my life, it was shared with. It doesn't mean that feeling was justified. It was public, and in all likelihood my friends just wanted to support me, or were curious. And I didn't even have anything particularly suggestive in my media. But fan content in any form is widely looked down upon or seen as juvenile in the eyes of the general public, so I couldn't help but have a defensive reaction towards anyone who I saw as outside of these communities. Your fiancé clearly had work she was happy to share with you, which is great, but also evidently wanted to maintain that control over what you saw. It's ultimately her fault for not communicating that, especially if there were so few privacy measures in place on her accounts and all the explicit content could be found through her primary username. But if she privated that content, she would be creating a barrier towards the like-minded people and fans that she wants to reach with her work. She may also be upset you were showing her stuff to other people and that they may in turn learn her handle. But I think the bigger issue is that you described this discovery to her as something amusing. Both art and fiction are incredibly personal, labor-intensive time investments, no less so for the content being pornographic. She probably felt judged or ridiculed by the way that you relayed this story, like her hobby was reduced to something silly in your eyes. And I'm afraid backpedaling with the reassurances won't do much at this point. She will see your initial reaction as your honest feelings, even if you were only intending to tease her good-naturedly. It's different if you caught her looking at a specific type of fetish porn. She made all of that, probably poured hours into them. Her reaction was likely a knee-jerk one from feeling violated because you saw deeply personal work that she wasn't ready to share with you, of a subject matter that many people would find perverted, deviant, or weird. If you care about comforting your fiancée at all, I would ignore all of the righteous comments telling you that she is being ridiculous because it was a public account, etc. Even though it's true, and this wasn't your fault, that's not the hill you want to die on with someone you love. Don't apologize for quote-unquote snooping because you didn't, but for seeing something that she obviously wasn't ready to share with you. I would emphasize you were proud of her talent and wanted to show it off, which is why you were Googling her in the first place. But be ready for her to say that she'd rather you didn't, especially anyone she also interacts with personally. Definitely discuss what boundaries you are both comfortable with her online presence going forward. And apologize for approaching her as though this hobby was something silly and humorous. I think giving her some space to let the initial embarrassment simmer down is a good idea too. Good luck, OP. I hope I could clear up any confusion as to how your fiancé may be feeling. I really don't think you were guilty of anything here, except maybe being a little tactless, lol. But unfortunately, there are a ton of people who wouldn't be as cool and non-judgmental as you are. Keep up that attitude and I'm confident her defensiveness will fade away with time. This is such a great answer. My instinct from this to add to what you've said is that OP also saw into a very private part of her life, her internal fantasy world that she may never have been comfortable sharing with him, and OP has to be okay with that. Even though it was public, he sort of just read her internal fantasy diary. If someone saw any of your internal fantasy worlds that are so private we never share it with anyone, would any of us be okay with someone seeing that and then finding it funny? Good luck, OP. Tread lightly would be my advice, and be very reassuring and apologetic for inadvertently invading her privacy. Updates. She came back after I sent a large apology message, apologizing for laughing at her fanfiction, and it was not done out of malice, and more out of awkwardness. We had a long talk about it. I explained I wasn't that uncomfortable with her keeping such a large amount of her life secret and hidden from me. She also admitted that oftentimes when she was saying she was working late in our home office, what she actually meant was she was writing and drawing stuff and just wanted to be left alone. I told her I had no problem with her hobbies, which made her happy. She also told me that she's so embarrassed because a bunch of it is self-inserts of her, and some of it would make me unhappy reading it. I asked her to show me, and she eventually agreed. I read some of it, and it didn't bother me at all. In my opinion, to me, fantasizing about fictional characters isn't a huge deal, as it is simply a fantasy and not real. I asked if some of the things she writes are things that turns her on, and I told her that I'm willing to try anything at least once. Yesterday night, she actually sat down next to me and started writing while I was next to her on the couch, and she didn't seem embarrassed at all anymore. So I guess this is good. Thank you for your help. She was scared at how it would be received. I could admit that some of my past writing, I'd be kind of embarrassed or ready to get made fun of for it. Some partners in the past have not been kind. You showed a maturity and kindness to your fiancée that I'm sure speaks volumes in her mind. This kind of communication and growth I wish more people had. Congrats! Yes, this was a big crux to the problem. She was terrified that I was going to make fun of her and consider her a freak. She apparently tried to share stuff with people in the past, and it didn't go very well. Personally, we are both dorks, and I am so desensitized to stuff on the internet that I get that it might not be something that turns me on, but other people might enjoy it. Who am I to judge? This makes me so happy to read. Good for you and your communication skills. I'm really, really glad everything worked out and she's comfortable to share with you. I write fanfiction with self-inserts as well, and having the support from my boyfriend is really nice and makes me feel good about what I'm doing. Hooray for mature relationships. I stan this massive growth and mature communication, and it seems to have invented a new, exciting thing you can do together as a couple. Honestly, your fiancé sounds really cool. I'd love to read her erotic fiction and art, and it's opened up a whole new opportunity for sexual expression. I stan. Alright, that's where I think I'm going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I really do hope you learned something or just really enjoyed the posts that were put up today. Quick shout out to all my new and existing Patreon and channel members. You should be able to see your name on screen right now, and if you don't, then I don't think you're part of the club, and you really should join the club because it's a great club. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for supporting me in this journey. It really means so much to me, and I love you all so much for it. Thank you for helping me out. As you can tell, I'm now happy and healthy back in Australia. Thank God it's not cold like Ireland. I don't like wearing jumpers everywhere. I prefer the heat. Thank you very much. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you later. Bye.